everyone! In this video, I'll be breaking down and then responding to Amanda Gorman's pro-choice video on abortion bans. Amanda Gorman is an American poet and activist. You probably know her from giving a speech at President Biden's inauguration. A while back, she made a short video why we should fight abortion bans in America.
8 reasons to stand up today against abortion bans in the United States. 1. Let's get this straight. When the penalty for rape is less than the penalty for abortion after the rape, you know this isn't about caring for women and girls, it's about controlling them.
What Amanda is talking about here are heartbeat bills, where abortion is banned after a heartbeat is detected, even in cases of rape. States with the heartbeat bill include Texas, Alabama, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, and Ohio. What I don't understand from her claim is the penalty for abortion after rape. In the states with heartbeat bills, except Georgia, it is illegal to prosecute a woman who got an abortion. The doctor would be prosecuted. And even in Georgia, the case law indicates that women will not be held liable for criminal abortion. An injunction was in fact filed for these states because it violated Casey versus Planned Parenthood, which states that you can't place an undue burden on a woman's ability to get an abortion before the baby is viable. Even Texas's new near-total abortion ban passed on September 1st, many months after Amanda Gorman's abortion ban video was published, does not overturn Roe v. Wade. So no, Amanda, the penalty for rape is not less than the penalty for abortion after the rape, because there is none. Amanda also pulls a straw man fallacy here by misrepresenting the pro-life argument for her own poetic narrative. No, abortion bans are very much not about controlling women and girls. They're put in place to protect the life of the fetus. It's scientifically proven the fetus does feel an abortion, and it's very painful. We are looking to protect the lives of the unborn because this country is founded on the principle that all people have unalienable rights, the primary one being the right to life, for without it one cannot have the others. No one in America should have the right to murder, no matter how much it'll convenience you. She used a straw man fallacy because it makes it easier for her to refute the pro-life arguments, because saying we want to control women automatically puts a bad taste in your mouth. So let's move on to her second point.
2. Through forcing them into motherhood before they're ready, these bans steadily sustain the patriarchy, but also chain families in poverty and maintain economic inequality. 3.
I want to make something clear. Not wanting to kill a baby is not therefore equivalent to forcing women into motherhood. The principle the pro-life person follows here is clear. All human life is sacred, and it's the government's job to protect life. Nothing justifies murdering an innocent human being. I'm sure we can all agree on that, right? Yes, a consequence of protecting life may result in the woman entering motherhood. It's an inconvenient consequence of protecting life, but I guess it's a necessary one if it means protecting life. I'm going to use the trot out the toddler argument here, something that I use a lot when arguing for life. So imagine there is a single mother raising her 5-year-old child, and she just got fired from her job, and she'll soon be evicted from her apartment, and everything would just be infinitely easier if she didn't have a child to take care of. So she decides to kill her child. Amanda would obviously be opposed to that and should agree that the mother should be prosecuted for killing her 5-year-old. But it doesn't mean we're therefore forcing her to be a parent. So now we know the issue is not about forcing motherhood, but it's rather about whether the fetus is alive or not. Amanda isn't tackling the core issue here, and we know that through the trot out the toddler scenario. Amanda's also assuming that giving birth means you have to raise the child. Why does the pro-life party always forget adoption? Because it is a very much and real and plausible option. Although I do think we need to bring back the belief that caring for a child is a deep privilege that resides within the moral fabric of nature. It is seen in non-human animal life too. But I digress. We being pro-life have not forced women into the steps of getting pregnant, but since a woman did take those steps, she's now in the situation of carrying human life. And by principle, we cannot support her terminating that life. Amanda also brings up the patriarchy, and it really isn't relevant to the core issue of abortion at all. Abortion may be a factor in the patriarchy, but this is something I'm not going to cover in this video, and I may cover in a future video.
Pregnancy is a private and personal decision and should not require the permission of any politician for.
Here in the first part, Amanda takes abortion from being a moral and scientific argument and turns it into an act of personal preference, like getting a haircut or getting LASIK surgery. Yes, getting pregnant is a decision that you as a person have the right to make on your own, but abortion bans are not about that. You see, Amanda's argument makes no case for why abortion is a private and personal decision. She uses the word pregnancy instead of abortion because in your head you think, well, of course I don't think women need permission from any politician whether to get pregnant or not. But it's really not about deciding to get pregnant, it's about what you do with your child after you are pregnant. For the second part, when women want an abortion, it's almost never because they were raped. A small percentage does not justify the millions of babies aborted every year. When women who are pregnant want an abortion, it's almost always because they didn't plan on getting pregnant from consensual sex and don't want to be. But no politician forced them to get pregnant. That was a risk they accepted on their own through having sex, because sex is specifically designed for pregnancy. But now they are pregnant. A life has been created, a life that is not yours. The core of the pro-life party is completely ignored in this argument. Now onto her fourth point.
For all time, regardless of whether it's a crime, women have and will always seek their own reproductive destinies. All these penalties do is subdue women's freedom to get healthy, safe services when they most need them. 5.
So her first part isn't an argument why you should stand up against abortion bans, it's just a statement. But if she did say it as an argument, the only argument you can infer from her first statement is a logical fallacy. The fallacy she could be making here is an appeal to tradition. She would be making this fallacy saying, because women have always fought for abortion in the past, abortion is right. The fact that women have been fighting for abortion for all time is not a valid argument in justifying abortion. Again, here we see some more manipulation in her words. Reproductive destinies sounds like something you want women to have. But the pro-life party is not arguing that the government dictate how couples exercise their reproductive rights. You should be able to choose when you have a child, if you have a child, and how many children you have. But your reproductive rights do not trump basic human rights to life. Which is why you'll find that many pro-lifers also hold the values of only having sex within marriage, because then there won't be any accidental pregnancies before you are ready, because you won't be sleeping around with people you aren't committed to. On to her second point, she claims that abortion bans prevent women from getting safe and healthy services when they most need them. I go over this in my Abortion is Healthcare video, how abortion is not a medical necessity at all. So check that out in the link above. In my Rape Justifies Abortion video, I talk about how studies have shown that there are no findings of mental health benefits associated with abortion, and the association between abortion and higher rates of anxiety, depression, substance use, traumatic symptoms, sleep disorders, and other negative outcomes is statistically significant in most analysis. So Amanda's argument is straight up misleading and wrong. Let's move on to her fifth argument.
Fight to keep Roe v. Wade alive. By the term, overturn Roe v. Wade. The main concern is that the Supreme Court will let states thwart a woman's path to abortion with undue burdens. But one thing is true and certain. 6.
So she's not really arguing anything here, she's just saying some stuff. But in principle, what first needs to be argued is that the burdens on a woman's access to abortion is bad because abortion is good. In my mind, I'm alright with having a woman's access to abortion be restricted because I believe that abortion is evil and therefore giving restrictions to doing evil is justified. I've reasoned throughout my videos that abortion is immoral and should be illegal. Now on to her sixth point.
These predictions aren't a distortion, hypothetical, or theoretical. Women already face the disproportion of undue burdens when seeking abortions if the sexes in all people are to be equal. Abortion has to be actually accessible and not just technically legal. 7.
So I just mentioned this about the undue burdens, but what Amanda assumes here is that abortion is good, so restricting access to it is bad. She's appealing to the pro-choicers watching her video, not to the pro-lifers also watching. A pro-lifer as myself would argue that it's good to have restrictions because abortion is a violation of human rights and is therefore unconstitutional. What has not been fully argued is why the undue burdens are bad, why I as a pro-lifer should stand up against abortion bans. But she does say that abortion ensures that all people are equal. I'd actually argue the opposite. The pro-life party believes that the fetus is an alive human person and it has a right to life. Science shows it to be so, and if you don't, I encourage you to check out my videos arguing why the fetus is alive. I don't see how illegalizing abortion makes women less equal to men. She probably means economically, which is an argument I already discussed earlier.
Despite what you might hear, this right here isn't only about women and girls. This fight is about fundamental civil rights. Women are a big part of it, but at the heart of it, our freedom over how fast our families grow goes farther and larger than any one of us. It's about every single one of us 8.
Amanda is spot on here. This is absolutely 100% about civil rights. This is about every human's fundamental right to life. Of course, Amanda is referring to the right to choose to abort, in which I would argue it is not a fundamental right at all. We all have unalienable rights, and the government is put in place to secure those rights and protect our freedom. You can do whatever you want. You have the freedom to swing your fist as long as it doesn't collide with my jaw. This is how freedom and choices work. Our laws are put in place to protect life, promote justice, and preserve order. No one should chain down your hands to prevent you from hitting me, but if you do swing your fist at my jaw, the law will make sure to punish you for such unjust actions. All adults have the freedom to have consensual sex with whomever they choose. That's your choice. But as a result of that choice, there will be consequences, and one may be a child, and you cannot harm a third party who has done nothing wrong. That's how our rights and freedoms work. Again, in her second point, as I mentioned earlier, we should be able to choose how many children we have and when we have them. As in, the government can't force you to or to not have children. But when a child has already been created, the government, in its role, cannot justly allow you to murder a very much alive human being. Let's move on to the last point.
Fight for Roe v. Wade in the United States because this change can't wait. We've got the energy, the moment, the movement, and the thundering numbers. The alt-right's biggest blunder is that most Americans aren't under their impression that a woman's body is up to them to decide. So when you're outraged, these lawmakers are terrified. They want our tide to lose hope, to back up, pack up, and go home. So don't. We won't. We are never alone when we fight fire with feminism. So go. Be unafraid. We will not be delayed. We will not be masquerade to the tale of a handmaid. We will not let Roe v. Wade slowly fade, because when we show up today, we're already standing up with the tomorrow we made.
Okay, this is a lot. And it also isn't a reason to stand up against abortion bans. It's just kind of an inspirational speech to encourage and say that if we do stand up against abortion bans, we'd probably win. She's right in most parts. The pro-choice party does have the thundering numbers and the energy and the movement. But that doesn't mean what they're fighting for is right. That's in no way convincing me to also stand up with you, except for the appeal to popularity that more people are against abortion, so you should be too, which is also a fallacy. But her one argument in here is the alt-right's biggest blunder is that most Americans aren't under the impression that a woman's body is up to them to decide. First of all, to assert that all pro-life people are alt-right is quite offensive. To believe that all people deserve equal protection from violence under the law isn't alt-right. It's just a basic human rights belief. The problem is that Amanda doesn't recognize that the fetus has human rights, so she hasn't addressed the claim at all. It's been completely ignored throughout this video. And that's odd considering it's the core of being pro-life. But anyway, Her main argument is that a woman's body and anything in it is her sovereign zone. It's the my body, my choice argument, and I do have a video about that in the link above if you want to hear me dive into that. But this claim is that a woman can do anything she wants with what's inside her body. This is where we must seek clarification in Amanda's beliefs. If Amanda Gorman supports elective abortions up to even 9 months, or if she supports sex-elective abortions in which parents abort their child because they don't like the sex, most often because it's a female, then she holds true to her beliefs. However, what you'll most likely find is that pro-choice people don't support abortions at 8 or 9 months, that they don't support sex-elective abortions. If Amanda thinks sex-elective abortions should be illegal, then she really doesn't believe a woman's body is her sovereign zone. She doesn't believe a woman can do whatever she wants to anything inside her body. If she did, then Amanda would have to support the discrimination against women by killing them in the womb because you think they're inferior to men. Arguing that anyone can do whatever they want to their body or what's inside it can get really uncomfortable for the person. It means supporting self-harm, smoking, drugs, and killing a child in the womb just because you want to or because you don't like their sex. And I don't think Amanda would support any of that. And if she doesn't, which I'm assuming she doesn't, her argument isn't consistent. Amanda also says we will not be masquerade to the tale of a handmaid. This is a reference to a dystopian novel called The Handmaid's Tale, about a patriarchal society where women are treated as second-class citizens and their worth is attributed to the children they bear. When pro-choice people mention The Handmaid's Tale, they're arguing that abortion bans will bring the discrimination of that fiction to a reality. This is a slippery slope fallacy because the argument is essentially saying that having abortion bans will lead to women becoming second-class citizens that are used for just bearing children, and that'll also strengthen the patriarchy into control over women. That just isn't reasonable. Having abortion bans are not put in place to enslave women, they're put in place to protect the most innocent of us human beings. Only 1% of women abort because they were impregnated against their will. So saying that banning abortion will chain women and force them to bear children for men is just a slippery slope fallacy. Because 99% of women in the first place only abort because they don't want the child they conceived out of consented sex. Of her 8 reasons to stand up against abortion bans, we found that there were only like 5, and all of her reasons just don't hold up when put against pro-life arguments. Overall, Amanda made some good points, and I do commend her on her passion and poetic persuasion, but she mainly appealed to people who already agree with her instead of trying to persuade those who disagree. Her arguments would prove much stronger if they address the center and the core of the pro-life party's beliefs, which is that the fetus is a life. When there are 2 opposing sides to an issue, and you ignore the opposing side's arguments and argue from your own side's perspective, it gives off the illusion that your argument is strong and reasonable, but given greater speculation, is just proven to be much weaker than it should be. John Stuart Mill, one of the most influential thinkers in the history of classical liberalism, once said, "He who knows only his own side of the case knows little of that. His reasons may be good, and no one may have been able to refute them. But if he is equally unable to refute the reasons on the opposite side, if he does not so much as know what they are, he has no ground for preferring either opinion." Thanks for listening, guys. I dive deeper into many of the arguments I skimmed over in this video in my other videos, so if you're interested, I encourage you to check those out. Go ahead and leave a comment below with a question, or if you want to challenge my thoughts. If you like this video, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to support my channel. Thanks!